All right, let's get right into it. In this explainer, we're breaking down a really modern and frankly unsettling version of evil from the narrative of The Wager, Nietzsche, Wotan, and the Overman. And just so you know, this isn't your classic pitchfork and horns kind of devil. Oh no. This is something much closer to home, and because of that, a whole lot more dangerous.
Right from the jump, the story tells us to just toss out our old ideas of what evil is supposed to look like. It makes a specific point to say he is unlike a traditional demon. So if he's not some creature of fire and brimstone, then what is he? And that question, right there, gets to the heart of this whole analysis.
And it all leads to this central idea. What if the most powerful, the most dangerous form of evil isn't some external force trying to trick you? What if it's an internal one? You know, that quiet, seductive voice inside your own head that whispers for you to choose comfort instead of struggle, to just give up.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about his appearance, because it's absolutely key to understanding the threat he poses today. He's not lurking in some shadowy underworld. He's right here, walking around in our world.
And you can see the contrast right here. Instead of horns and a pitchfork, we get a business suit. Instead of some external evil, it's an internal impulse. The narrative introduces him as a slick, cynical figure, and just like that, this massive cosmic struggle feels like it could be happening in the office down the hall.
That suit is doing a ton of symbolic heavy lifting. It's the uniform of the very world he champions, a world he himself calls a hollow, power-hungry pursuit. It's this brilliant symbol for how Nietzsche's idea of slave morality, a value system born from weakness and resentment, didn't just disappear. It's alive and well, thriving in our corporate structures.
So the crucial point here is that this isn't just some cool aesthetic decision. It totally reframes the entire conflict. This kind of evil isn't something out there to be fought. It's an impulse woven right into the fabric of our society. He is the sleek, successful face of our own worst tendencies.
So we've got the look down, but what's going on underneath that suit? Let's dive into the actual ideology he's selling. What does this modern devil really believe? He's officially known as the Spirit Who Denies. And that isn't just a title, it is his entire job description. He's the living, breathing embodiment of negation, of doubt, and of that slave morality, the whole value system built on weakness that Nietzsche spent his entire life fighting against.
So what does he deny, you ask? Pretty much everything that leads to human growth. He denies that there's any value in struggle. He denies that we have the ability to become more than we are. And most importantly, he denies the harsh, difficult reality of life itself. And instead, he offers a much, much easier alternative.
And this right here is his ultimate sales pitch. See, he's not offering you power or money. His greatest temptation, his core product, is the comforting lie. He offers the sweet oblivion of human comfort, basically a promise that you don't have to face the hard truths of the world. You can just check out and relax.
And this philosophy isn't just an academic exercise. It is the engine driving the central conflict of the entire story, a cosmic wager for the very soul of humanity.
The setting for this incredible bet isn't heaven or hell. The story calls it an abstract existential arena, and it's here that Mephistopheles faces off against a force called the All-Will, which is the narrative's way of representing the raw, indifferent, primordial force of existence itself.
The entire wager boils down to this single powerful question. Will their human test subject, the philosopher Nietzsche, embrace the difficult, terrible freedom of creating his own meaning? Or will he eventually break and choose the comforting weakness that Mephistopheles is selling?
This table lays out the opposing sides perfectly. You've got the all-will, betting on freedom and the affirmation of life, betting that Nietzsche can achieve that terrible freedom. And on the other side, Mephistopheles is betting on the exact opposite. He's betting the man will remain a slave to his weakness, that his life's work is ultimately hollow, and that in the end, he'll just beg for simple human comfort.
So, the experiment begins, and Nietzsche is transformed. But the result is not what Mephistopheles expected. And this is the moment where that cynical, confident facade starts to crack.
When the frail philosopher actually becomes the overman, Nietzsche's ideal of a self-creating, life-affirming human, Mephistopheles doesn't gloat. He doesn't see a win. Instead, the text says he feels genuine unease. For the very first time, he's run into something that his cynical worldview just can't explain.
His immediate, panicked reaction is simple. It's visceral.
He looks at this new being, this ultimate affirmation of life, and his only word for it is monster.
And his fear only gets deeper. He sees the Overman as a god in human skin, but one that absolutely terrifies him, because it operates completely beyond the human weaknesses he knows how to manipulate. It has no compassion, no limits, none of the comforting guardrails of that slave morality.
He finishes with his final description, a tyrant of the will. And that's the crucial point. The Overman isn't a tyrant over other people. He's a tyrant of his own will, a being of absolute self-mastery. And that is something the spirit of negation simply cannot comprehend, much less control.
So, what does this all mean for us? Well, in the end, Mephistopheles represents something way more fundamental than just a simple villain. He embodies a universal force.
He's not just the antagonist of the story. He's an analogy for that constant, nagging pull that exists inside every single one of us, that pull towards taking the easy way out.
The source material has a fantastic name for this: philosophical gravity. It's the perfect metaphor, isn't it? It's that constant, natural, downward pull toward ease, toward weakness, and toward all the comforting falsehoods we tell ourselves to avoid the difficulty of actually looking up.
And that is what makes him so terrifying and so real. He is the part of us that would rather choose the sweet oblivion of human comfort than actually face the terrible grandeur of existence. He's the enemy within.
Which brings us to the final question. You see, this wager isn't just about some philosopher in a story. It's about all of us. Mephistopheles is always there, making his offer. So the only question that really matters is, which comforting lies do you choose?